Welcome back to ZoomInData, Episode 2. Last time we talked about what Synapse actually is. Today we're going one step deeper. I'm going to explain the high-level architecture in a simple way so you really understand how everything fits together. No heavy interview answers today, just clear pictures and explanation. Let's go! Quick recap from Episode 1 so we're on the same page. Azure Synapse is Microsoft's unified PaaS analytics platform. Main parts are Synapse Studio, SQL pools, Spark pools, pipelines. It's still super relevant in 2026 for learning and getting jobs. Fabric is the newer SaaS version, but Synapse is definitely not replaced. So why should you even care about the architecture? Because once you see how all parts connect together, everything clicks. You understand the data flow, where it starts and where it ends up. You can clearly explain the difference between Synapse and Fabric. And when we do hands-on in the next episodes, you'll feel much more comfortable. Alright, let's start from the center. The Synapse workspace is the heart of everything. It's basically the main container you create in Azure. One workspace can hold multiple pools and pipelines. It's connected to Azure Active Directory for your login and security. And when you open it, you land in Synapse Studio right in your browser. Look at this big picture. This is the high-level architecture. Right in the middle is the Synapse workspace, your main hub. On the left side you have all the data sources coming in, ADLS Gen 2, Cosmos DB, SQL database, event hubs for streaming. On the right side are the processing engines, Serverless SQL, dedicated SQL, Spark pools, pipelines. And at the bottom is where the results go, Power BI dashboards, Azure ML models, or other apps. So first, data sources, where all your data arrives from. The primary one is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 ADLS General 2. You also have relational data coming from Azure SQL Database. NoSQL data from Azure Cosmos DB. Streaming data from Event Hubs or IoT Hub. And if you have on-prem or other cloud data, you connect it using linked services. Now Synapse Studio. This is literally your workplace. It's a web-based IDE. You just open it in your browser. You have these main hubs: Home, Data, Develop, Integrate, Monitor, Manage. Everything you do, writing SQL, Spark notebooks, building pipelines, happens right here. No need to install any separate software. Next, Synapse SQL. It comes in two ways. Serverless SQL pool, on demand, you query the lake directly. Dedicated SQL pool, provisioned, built for high-performance warehousing. Both of them use the same TSQL language you already know. And they can work together nicely through Lake Database. Serverless SQL pool is super simple. No need to create any compute. You directly query CSV, Parquet, Delta files sitting in ADLS General 2. You only pay for the data your query actually scans, per terabyte. Perfect for quick exploration and ad hoc checks. Dedicated SQL pool is power mode. You provision compute using DWUs or vCores. It uses MPP architecture, control node plus multiple compute nodes. Data is stored distributed across Azure Storage. Best when you need predictable, high-performance data warehouse workloads. Here's how the MPP flow works in dedicated SQL. Your query first hits the control node. Control node splits the work and sends it to compute nodes. Compute nodes process everything in parallel. If data needs to move between nodes, DMS handles it. Finally, results come back to control node and then to you. Apache Spark pools bring big data power. You get Spark clusters, either on demand or provisioned. You write notebooks in PySpark, Scala, or .NET. They use Delta Lake tables stored in ADLS General 2. And you can read from or write to SQL pools easily. Data pipelines are how you move and transform data. You build them visually, drag and drop. You can copy data from source to sink. Use mapping data flows for complex transformations. And set triggers, schedule or event-based. Lake Database is the modern bridge. It mixes Spark tables with SQL objects. You get shortcuts so SQL can see Spark tables. This is the Lakehouse style inside Synapse. You can query the same data using either SQL or Spark. Data Explorer, also called Custo, is special. It's a separate pool for logs and time series data. It uses KQL language. Super fast ingestion and queries. Kept separate from SQL and Spark pools. Finally, the output side, where results go. Power BI connects directly or imports data. Azure ML does model scoring inside pipelines. Synapse Link gives real-time analytics from Cosmos DB. External tools connect using ODBC or JDBC. Quick comparison. Synapse versus Fabric architecture. Synapse is PaaS, more control, uses ADLS General 2. Fabric is SaaS, simpler, uses one lake with Delta focus. Synapse has separate pools and more configuration. Fabric gives you a single unified experience. Here are some common architecture questions you'll see in interviews. I'm just listing them today. No answers in this episode. Explain Synapse high-level architecture. How does data flow in Synapse? Synapse Workspace versus Fabric Workspace. Why use separate pools in Synapse? How does MPP work in dedicated SQL pool? What is the role of Synapse Studio? How does Lake Database work? Synapse versus Databricks architecture. Your homework before episode 3 is easy. If you haven't already, create your free Azure account. Go to portal.azure.com and search for Synapse. Click Synapse Studio to see the interface. Just look around. No need to create anything yet. Alright guys, that's it for today. If the architecture became clear, give it a like. Comment, architecture, if you're following along. Make sure you subscribe to ZoomInData. Share this with your friends who are learning Azure. Turn on notifications so you don't miss episode 3.